Came down to the club on a Saturday night. I saw you in the glow of the neon lights. And I'm stacking on and I'm being ignored. I'm thinking to myself, what are you waiting for? 'Cause I wanna be
So this takes a minute for me
Okay.
to. People are seeing this though. Now we are live.
All right.
You know what?
Huh.
I'm thinking that this song that we're playing by you
Mm-hmm.
or album fits that you're sitting in your car. And what we really need to do is have you play this music in the background and just drive around, wind blowing in the hair, the hair blowing the wind, and we just have a interview that way. And
yes, I'm all for hair blowing, like Beyonce.
Okay, yes, and with your music in the background.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we are live, and
hey.
and we've got a viewer.
We do?
Well, we've got.
Who is it? I can't see for some reason.
Well, you won't be able to see everything. You're just going to have to trust me.
Okay. Thank you for having me, Jeff.
Well, I'm really happy that you took the time because I know you're really busy, in spite of what everybody says. When you've got kids, if you got kids, that fills up a whole lot of time, especially when they're around all day long.
It's amazing. I'm normally shove them off to school and I can actually get things done, but not now.
So I have the ability to see comments. So
okay.
I may interject if there's somebody commenting and wanting to know something. I also can take phone calls.
That's amazing. Okay, so like I said, I can't see anyone right now. I don't know why, but I can. Please tell me.
Well, it's because you're in your car out in somewhere, and you're phoning this in.
True that.
Okay, all right. So there's a lot to start with, but the first thing I want to get out is this CD that I've been listening to can be purchased on iTunes. And the name of the CD is
New Frontier. So you can get on Amazon, iTunes. I don't think iTunes is going to be around much longer, actually. Spotify. It's on Spotify.
You don't think iTunes is going to be around? Oh, no.
Yeah, no, I actually heard that. I forget. I was at a songwriting retreat a couple of months ago, and I think they said in October. I'm not exactly sure. Don't quote me on it, but that makes sense if you think about it.
They are changing their format, and they are going to merge it into something else, but the ability to sell music will still be that's a cash cow for them.
Yeah, I don't know. There's so much streaming now. I was pretty late to that party because I remember a few years ago I was like, no, how are the musicians supposed to make money if everyone's getting all this free music and paying barely anything, to millions of musicians? So, but now I've have to come on board because that's, where a lot of the marketing comes in now. So I have to kind of take a look at it, but yeah.
Yeah. How do musicians make money off of streaming services? Basically, you don't.
Right. Very little.
Very little. Yeah. So this is what I want to know. Other than this, and what you're doing right now, you're writing a lot of songs, and I saw something that you're trying to place music, and I think that is the way to go, especially for a songwriter, and all of the places to put content on.
Yes, that's been the way for quite some time, but especially now, and it's really. So I'm in a class, a whole program for that as well. It's called 6 Figure Songwriting with Kathy Heller. She's awesome. She's super inspirational, and she made a ton of money doing it. And you can do what you love and make a living. There's a lot to learn and a lot of connections to be made and developed. But for sure, that's the licensing, is the way to go.
Placing songs on all of those silly little shows that are coming up on every channel. Every channel is offering content, and every channel needs to find songs and material.
That's right. So there's TV, film, of course, all those streaming shows and online shows. There's writing for artists. Obviously, there's ads. Yeah.
had you been doing, I noticed you've been doing some on your website and different places, you've been doing some songs, you've been doing some recording. Have you been doing any kind of voiceovers or background singing for any shows or
Um,
anything?
I used to. I haven't in a while. I did a couple. In fact, like the last thing I did was on a show called Black Monday on Showtime,
Mm-hmm.
um, which I was referred to by my friend Sarah Mann. I used to tour with her with Miley, and which is very kind of her. Um, but yeah, so that's how I got that. They were looking for a black girl who played guitar and sang, and so I got to be on that show in the studio and also live on camera briefly, but nevertheless, it was super fun day. Um, and I've done other, more of that in the past too. But it's kind of like there's different groups of people you need to know and different skill set for each different type of music. Making money music from music in these different ways. So,
So
and it takes so much focus and time and effort that I just don't have it. So I moved over to licensing.
licensing, okay.
Yeah.
So let me try to kind of categorize this and
Yeah.
define this for people who may be tuning in that don't really understand. So if you, and I want to go way back to, you and I have known each other for a long time, and I know I've mentioned this and you don't remember, but you
But
did babysit one night you spent with my oldest children when they were just like 4 and 2. And you came over and hung out for a couple of hours with them so I could go do something. It was a long time ago when you still lived before you came to Los Angeles.
yes, in the Bay Area. So I remember
Right.
that. The first thing I remember was coming to the studio and singing with you in the
Right.
studio for your band,
Mm-hmm.
and
And, and you did one of our very first gigs, and
yes.
the keyboard player on that gig was Eric Daniels, who is now on The Voice.
Wow.
Nelson Braxton, who also now plays with Michael Bolton, who you've been a background singer for.
Yes.
And we were in Hawaii, and John Conley, our pal John Conley, who you just went to see over at the radio station.
Yes.
That was one of my first gigs with that band.
That is so crazy. Like I grew up with you, basically.
Well, there's been a lot of stuff happened between then and now.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Okay, so this is what I want to get in case anybody wants to know. When you move from the Bay Area to Los Angeles, you can't just come down here and say I'm a singer and get hired in a wedding band or one of those offices, or say, oh, I want to be a background singer on these tours, or then go, I'm going to do voiceovers. They're all completely different things that require specific skill sets,
Exactly.
specific people to know.
Exactly. They're all
And
different people. Well, I mean, there are people that do to different things. Plus, I do different genres as well. Like I'm in the country scene. Um, so a lot of people in the country scene are not in the pop or R&B scene or the jazz scene. They're all, some people, like I said, go across and to the different jobs.
well,
But
it
yeah,
takes a lot of work. What you were saying, though, that the kind of marketing and work it takes to
right,
do each one of those things, you've got to kind of focus and say, okay, this is where I'm going to focus. And
right.
then it's easy to get stuck in that place
Yeah.
for
And same thing
like
with
your,
originals too, because I'm an original artist also. That's a whole nother, I mean, it's just, yeah, it's a lot of work.
well, and what a lot of people don't understand, like Lizzo, for example.
Yeah.
I interviewed her bass player last week that was
Awesome.
going to start doing her tour. And we talked about what people don't understand is if all of a sudden your success, like let's say you put out a new record and all of a sudden you blow up and you're like Lizzo, which is very possible because you should be doing that. You,
Thank you.
I'm watching your stuff and I'm thinking about the personality you have and the charisma you have, and I've always said this to you, and your abilities and your singing, especially as a black guitar player, country musician, that is really unique, right?
Yeah.
You're kind of like the female, oh, Why did I just go back on his name from Hootie and the Blowfish?
Yeah, Darius Rucker.
I
You know,
yeah. Anyway,
I, you
but
know, sorry, go ahead.
so you have this ability, and what people don't understand is, oh, she just made it like that. It takes years of getting all of the right stuff for that to come into alignment. That all of a sudden you're successful.
It
Lots of
definitely does. And it takes, I don't know, I'm kind of all over the place because I'm literally like, I'm like Leo and Virgo, black and white. I like country. I like rock. I like pop. I like literally have gone through every phase legitimately. I
mm,
love all these different things. I just not, I just have so many facets. So sometimes that works against me, you
yeah.
know? And then plus I really love my family, my husband and my son. And so, and that's really, it's really hard to balance it all. And so I change my mind a lot on like, what is my focus? Which can hurt me sometimes, I think, but I also can help me because I can always work because that's why I picked up guitar as well. So now I can play solo or I can lead a band or, you know, I just like so many different things. That's just how I am.
Well,
So
from one point of view, as I'm thinking about it and we're talking, it seems like it would be really good to be able to be that versatile, because you could stay home with your husband and your son and have that family life and work gigs
yeah,
and do your thing and make a reasonable living. But at what I also understand is it's hard to then fine tune something and go into that and say, okay, this is where I'm going to live and make that my lane and stay there so people can discover me.
right. You have to be doing it long enough and hard enough. And like when I first started delving more into my country career, it was going really well. But what happened was I have like my young son at home and my husband, and it would start to cause problems if I go away for too long, or they could just feel it was weird, like from a distance, that my focus was so much on this project. And
Right.
so when you put your attention on something, you get it. You know, when you work hard and you keep your attention focused and you keep working. And so it would start to build. And then this over here, the family life would start to have trouble. And then you have to go back and get that going. And then this falls and you just see everybody climbing the ladder. So one of the pieces of my advice is, so I'm happy, whatever. I like to do a little bit of everything. And I'm still working on stuff because I'm very driven, but really, you know, before you get married and have kids, that's the time to just put your all into it and go
Well,
for it. Move where you got to go, you know, and that sort of thing.
yeah, I've had that conversation with a lot of people who have foregone success from
Right.
from our perception of success in order
Yeah.
to have the family life and choosing the family over the career,
Yeah.
because
I just did that. I took a good hard look at that. I think it was last year, actually. And that's what I decided. I still
well,
have a lot of things to do that I'm working on for sure. Um, but I felt like I had to take a look at that. Yeah.
well, there's a way that you can use all of your talents and like licensing, you can use and songwriting,
For sure.
and there's a lot of ways you can use your talents and stay close to home. I think that's what you're discovering.
Yes. And I still want to go. I still want to travel, which I think I can do, but I have to do it kind of short spurts. And it's about being creative. I want to create. And I feel like if you're a creative person and this is your passion, that you should do it. You must do it. You know what I mean? Or you're just not happy. I can't have a day job. I just will be miserable. So I have to do this, and I like to strive towards excellence and just see how high I can get. But also I know that there's people who are rich and famous, and, you know, so it's success. You have to kind of keep in mind that, but are they happy? Do they have a good home life? And a lot of them don't, or you know what I mean? It's just so much pressure. There's so much stress. Or not. So what's the point if you're not happy? So that really is the most important thing.
Well, and you've been with some of those people, like
Yeah.
you toured. So you've toured with Miley Cyrus, and I think I have a picture I downloaded off of Facebook.
Okay.
You're singing with three there's a picture of you and two other girls singing, and I think you were the three singers for Miley. And was that
I think
just
there was
after
2
she
for
left
Miley.
Disney Channel?
Yeah, so that tour, like when I came on.
Oh, there was.
Yeah, I think that was 2 girls. But for Johnny Hallyday, French artist, there was 3 of us.
Oh,
I mean, it changes, but yeah.
oh, that's okay. That must be what it was then.
Yeah.
So you've been you toured with Miley, and you did a time with Billy Ray.
Yeah.
And Michael Bolton.
Yeah.
And Luis Miguel. How long are you with Luis Miguel?
So I was with him for a year. About a year, I want to say.
And Sheryl Crow.
Okay, that was just one performance.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But what was it like? In order to give a picture of what you're trying to accomplish for yourself, and then be around, Miley has lived her life pretty out loud.
Right.
I mean, it's pretty crazy, and that isn't really something a lot of us we might want to be on the stage and have that success, but behind the scenes chaos sometimes. I don't think people really see what's really going on behind the scenes, and it can be brutal. And
right.
You were part of that, so you kind of can see.
Yeah, well, so I can't the people I worked for, I can't totally speak on. Number one, because it wouldn't be professional. And number two, right. I don't get super close with them, on a personal level, because I work for them, and
right.
But but I'll just say that I have seen instances in life, or people that I know, or whatever, and just is this obvious? People are having so much trouble, coping with life and stuff. You just see it in general, is my point.
Right. Well, when you're touring, and this is what I've talked to, everybody says when you're touring like that, there's really no time for relationships, because it's all about the gig. Even though
right.
You only perform for a couple of hours, you've got rehearsals, and you're traveling, and you're in and out of the bus, and there's no time for relationships. So relationships generally suffer.
Yeah, and they take time and energy to devote to them, for sure. And for kids, it's hard. You can't be gone for a year.
Right. Right. So how old is your son?
He just turned 9.
9.
Yeah.
Oh, and what's it like for him to not be in school?
It's rough. Well, you can't get anything done, number one. And then I'm trying to, fortunately, I have some tutoring skills, so I can help him do his work. Mm-hmm. But it's just very time consuming. So if I want to actually try to keep my career alive, like I don't have time to do that. If I leave his side for a minute, he's got his cat on his shoulder and he's doing something else. You know what I mean? So it's just trying to structure everything,
Right. Right. So when did you start singing?
Singing?
Yeah.
I don't remember. Forever.
It's all you've ever done?
Yeah.
And you only started playing guitar like how long ago?
Well, that's funny, because I picked it up when I was like 18, but then there was this, it was hard on my fingers, and then there was this 14-year-old boy who was ripping. So I was like, oh, I'm too old. And then I put it down. Then I picked it up again later. And I've been playing for like 15 years, really, but I didn't, or more by now, but I just couldn't focus on it, until a few years ago.
So you started playing guitar, and you were doing all these tours with these people, and then when did you start on the solo career? When did that start? And when did you turn your focus, or did you always have an idea?
I always wanted to be a solo artist. So I got into weddings and corporate events at a young age. I didn't even know you could do that for a living. I just thought, oh, you're famous and that's how you make your living. So I just set out to do that. And I was a kid and I thought I was 100% positive that I was going to do that. Then you just sort of meet people, and I started doing like studio work, but they would pay me in pizza, and I didn't know you should get paid for it. And I just started meeting people. Yeah. And then I had like a live band when I was 17, and I'm like, oh, this is what you do. And you just start meeting people, and opportunities come from that. But I always wanted to be an original artist. I always stood out and didn't want to be like everybody else. So I started out in heavy metal bands in the beginning because it would annoy me when they'd be like, oh, you're black, you sing R&B. That would just annoy me. Now, eventually I did sing R&B, but in the beginning I was like being a rebel.
Right. So when did you make your first, what was your, in the middle of all this and you were down in LA, when did you do your first recording?
The most professional, I recorded in my room, like all throughout my teenage years. I didn't have very many friends. I was super shy and very unpopular. And so I just wrote songs in my room for a majority of my life, actually. Then I started meeting, recording studio, engineers and stuff like that. And let's see. And then I met a producer. Elliot's watching. So I met a producer who wanted to sign me, and then started developing me. And, I started working towards that, and then I got dropped.
Oh.
Or not signed. I was heartbroken.
Oh. So, but this brought up an interesting question.
Yeah.
You were not popular and you were sort of shy. And where did you go?
Yeah.
Where did you go to school?
So I went to school in the Bay Area. Elliot, my manager's watching. Elliot Schatzman. Hi. So yeah, I went to school in Palo Alto. I was like the only black girl in the whole school, and I didn't know how to. I learned how to blow dry my hair on your gig, Jeff. That was I didn't even know you could blow dry hair until I was like 18 or 19.
Whoa! Did you go to Pali High?
What?
Did you go to Pali High?
No, I went to elementary school there, so that's where it started.
Oh.
Then I moved, but it was dramatic. Let me just put it that way.
Well, yeah, Palo Alto is pretty. It's a bubble. Let me just put it that way.
I didn't notice until I grew up. I was like, first of all, this place is beautiful. I had no idea, and second of all, the air is thick with like, I'm better than you. Sorry, Palo Alto. There are wonderful people there. But
right.
At the time, like, and you can still kind of feel it. I'm like, wow, this is what I grew up in. No wonder I had a complex.
Right. And
yeah.
And here's what people don't understand is that Stanford campus pretty much, and everybody not only feels as they're better than, they're smarter than everybody.
Right. And then plus the standard of beauty is blonde hair, blue eyes. And so that my whole school, subscribed to that.
Oh.
And I was the only black girl, and I was super ugly and super shy. And
well, that has sure changed. All of that.
Yeah, and I'm like, suckers.
Oh, man.
No, I don't think, here's the thing. I don't think I'm so beautiful. It's just that now I have so many friends of all different, I have such a diverse group of friends all over the world. And I just grew confidence from being able to communicate with people. You know what I mean? And from growing my skills. So I know that looks mean absolutely nothing. So I just laugh at it now.
But you are. And here's the thing that I've said to you, and I think people see, is you are very charismatic.
Thank you.
Very charismatic. When you walk on the stage, the way you carry yourself is so different than everybody. And when like the last gig I did sound where you were on, I'm looking at the band and I'm like, Carmel just has something.
Stop. That's very sweet.
I'm dead serious. And the mic knew it too. The mic couldn't handle it. It kept going out.
That's sweet. Thank you.
But it's true. And there's one other guy that I think of that's that way is Greg Scott.
Oh yeah, he's super charismatic. Yeah.
Right. So the two of you have, there's something that you have when you're on stage that just elevates you. It's charismatic. It's like eh, I met Arnold Schwarzenegger once, and I never was really a fan. I liked his movies, but I didn't understand how he had so many fans and like, oh, Arnold. And then I met him in person. All he did is walk in the room, and the dynamics and energy of the
Wow.
room changed instantly because of his energy and his personality. And I
Wow.
started getting what people thought when they see Gina Davis and those kinds of
Yeah.
stars, is because they're charismatic, and that's something that both you and Greg have.
Thank you. Shout out to Greg.
Not that I'm anybody that knows anything. I mean, I'm just sitting in my little Burbank, bedroom.
Of course you do. Well, like I tell my son, I said we are all important. Mm.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? So I want to play just because people why might these turned out to be interviews more than playing is
Okay.
because this particular platform that I use doesn't necessarily work well for live performances
Okay.
from a remote location. Like if you were to play from there, the signal you would send to me, by the time it went out on my live stream, it would be
Right.
right.
Okay.
So they turned into interviews, but I wanted to play something, another song that I love off of your CD is this one.
Oh, really? Thank you.
Got a heart of gold, always there when you need her. And your voice showed his true colors. She was torn apart, I know you must have seen her.
I know you can't see me, but I'm
I
jamming.
can't see.
Never would, never will again. And you're a boy with the wrong intentions. You wrote a letter of lies, spread it to all your friends. And you didn't appreciate her when you had her. You've been sneaking around, creeping like clone and dagger. You got a deep dark secret, and baby, I know it. And the way that acting lately shows it. That girl's a friend of mine. She dedicated all the qualities you'd hope for. And you're a boy with a jealous mind. And all the things that said to prove that you don't really know her. But that girl's got a tender soul. I know sometimes she talks tough, but she
They could probably check it out on really good speakers if they check it out on Spotify. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Oh, yes. Okay. I'll pull that down. So,
Yeah.
while people are watching us and listening to this music,
Yeah.
and what I wanted to say about that is you sound great. And if I were wanting to play in a band, I would love to be playing drums on that song.
Thanks.
And Jamie Brewer wanted to know where you're from, and from Agape. No, you're not. But Jamie took Nelson Braxton's place in my band after you and Jamie. And do you know Olivia Pucci?
Yeah.
Right. And well, she's tuning in and said, hello, Carmel and Jeff.
Hi, Olivia.
Yeah. Another Bay Area person that's transplanted down here.
Yay.
So if for people that are just tuning in, the music that we were just playing fits because you're in your car.
Yes.
And I'm glad that you're not driving around, because that would be like kind of dangerous.
Right. I'm just gonna sit here in the shade. That's what I'm gonna do.
So, and where are you exactly?
I'm down the hill from my in-laws' house. My son is there swimming, and I didn't want the poor internet to cut me out in the middle of this interview, so I came down the hill.
Yeah. And it's hot out today. Do you
It's
have
hot.
the AC running? Do you have
For
car
sure.
driving? So you're sitting and your car's running?
Yeah.
Can you make your hair blow? Can you do?
Absolutely. I would love to. Hold on. Oh shoot. Why is this doing this? Oh, there we go.
Okay. Oh, look at that. Yes.
Yes.
No, it did. It worked. Yes.
Wow, really?
Yeah, right there. Yeah. I mean, it's not not a lot, but it's enough. It's working enough to give the vibe.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Oh, okay. So, what was this record? Again, New Frontier, which you can get on iTunes. You can purchase it, or Amazon. You can purchase it. Do that. Don't listen to it for free. Purchase it, please.
Right.
Right. What was the one you did before that?
The CD before that?
Yeah. You did one before that, right?
Okay. So this last CD, New Frontier, so I have a bunch of new songs in the works that I think you guys are really going to like a lot. So, and they're going to be, yeah. So just wait for that. Okay, sorry. Then the last single I had was called Since We Were Young, which I just realized I released the wrong version. It's not the final version. It's missing the backing vocals, the strings. I'm like, are you kidding me? So stay tuned for the actual proper release. I have to take it down and re-release it. But also, so New Frontier, Elliot Schatzman, who's become a very good friend of mine and partner of mine, he started out as an investor, and he, came in, started a label around me called Schatz Music Group, and he funded that CD. So we went to Nashville, worked with all Reba McEntire's band. It was fantastic. Jim Kimball was the producer. It was a fantastic experience, and it came out really great. So you guys check it out. If you would, we'd appreciate it. And yeah, so...
I wanted to ask you about that too, and about the music group that was behind this, that you started. The logo was really cool with the cowboy hat.
Yeah, so that's Elliot is behind that. He has twins, a boy and a girl, and the girl Jenna was a huge Miley Cyrus fan. So when I was touring with Miley, he would take her to the concerts, and he friended me on Facebook because they went to concerts all the time. And so anyway, we just became friends basically. And then, long story short, and then he came to Nashville to meet me and meet the producer and come in the studio and see what was happening. And he loved my music and my voice and stuff, and saw me perform live and decided to become an investor. And he ended up doing so much for me that he became a manager as well. And so we've worked together for many years now, and we're very close. And yeah, that's how it happened.
And Elliot, he is commenting, and so we know he's watching. All music is on iTunes and everywhere online.
Yes.
We prefer that you purchase the music. That's just me speaking from a music fan.
I agree. I always purchase when I can. Always.
So now with Elliot, and he's your manager, you're working on a new CD, a new music?
Yeah, so now, I mean, it basically just got to be where we decided to just do singles for now, just because it's very expensive to do this and very time consuming. And so, and then his kids had to go to college, and I just, focus on my family and stuff. So it just, so basically we're going to do singles and kind of take a fresh look at stuff. So I started taking also these classes, like I told you, for songwriting. I just came back from Nashville, a couple months ago, where I did a songwriting camp, and then I'm taking sync licensing classes as well, and just kind of re-looking at everything from a commercial standpoint as well as from an artistic standpoint. So yeah.
And do you think you'll record the new music after all of this stuff
For
kind of?
sure. I lost a little bit of momentum and morale during this because it was just really hard for me to be cut off from everything. And I
Right.
reacted, stronger than I thought I would. It kind of affected me just being shut down because I like to communicate. I like to be out. I'm super busy. And that wasn't good for me
Yeah,
mentally.
I know we talked a little bit right at first because I had the same experience, and
Yeah.
that's why I started doing these live streams as just a way to talk and have people get to know my people that I know and just have a conversation. And it affected a lot of people. And I
Yeah.
know when I first reached out to you, you were, I mean, I could feel it because I was feeling the same way. What are we
Yeah.
going to do?
Yeah.
Um, so when we get on the other side of this, I know it might look different for us, but I
Mhm.
think being a songwriter and placement of music and all what you're doing, and with Elliot, the placing music and doing the recordings and stuff is in a better position to do something with your music than maybe live performance. It might be long.
Yeah. I mean, I was a songwriter since I was like 5, like not a good one, but that's my first love. And I love performing live too. But I was, before this started, the whole coronavirus thing, I was gonna be moving over into songwriting placements anyway because I realized, no matter how old you get, no matter where you live, that's a way to still make a living. Because I don't want to make a living doing anything but music. And so I knew I had to kind of move over into that anyway, and then I could play whatever gigs I want and not have to worry, you know. So
Right. Well,
looking into that.
it's hard when this happens, and as an artist, it's hard when somebody comes up and says, "Oh, well, it doesn't look like you're going to do this anymore." I,
Yeah.
and that's what it felt like to
Yeah.
a lot of us. And that's just not going to happen because it's our life. It's
Exactly.
what it's what makes us feel complete and whole and all that stuff.
100%.
So it may look different, but I think you're in a better spot, like you were just saying. And Elliot just said that the new music is beautiful, and I would like to hear it now. Okay, get the wind blowing, get the guitar. Let's make a music video right now. I can see it. You're
Yes. Yeah, no, I have a few, and I wanted to, because the craft of songwriting is a huge love of mine, and I'm always trying to be better. And I wanted to just take some time to sort of reflect and see, how to become better and how to, because it's a communication to people. And growing up, it was more therapeutic and like, what do I want to say?
Mhm.
And I don't care if anybody gets it. And now I'm really trying to focus on, no, it's a communication. It doesn't matter what I think. It matters what you think. What comes across to you. And especially if you want it to not be a hobby and to be a living, people have to like it. It has to resonate with people. And so I'm really figuring out the formula, which I always was so, against formula, but there actually is a formula. And this, how do you do it in a way that's still authentic? And that's what I'm researching and working on right now.
That's fascinating, and I think a lot of people uh, don't realize what it goes into being a good songwriter.
Yeah.
And how do you find your voice in the overall what people like?
Right. So I'm studying structure, and I also realized that I hadn't listened to new music for so long. And then I was like, wow, like I'm out of the loop. Like there's things you have to, get reference tracks and listen to what they're doing. And I thought that was cheating or lame before, and it's actually important.
In what way were you not listening to music? Were you just not listening to anything current, or just stuff you liked? What was different for you?
Right. Like part of it is I'm so busy performing.
Mm.
I mean, that I didn't have time. Like I would listen to specific songs that I was told to learn for the gigs, but there were so many other songs that I didn't listen to, and then I also didn't have time to write. So that's why I wanted to pull back a little bit from performing live for a living so that I would be able to write, which is the other half of my goal. And also, I would sort of poo poo, like, oh, that's so formula. I would do that a lot. And some of it is lame, yes. But there's also a part of it you have to, use it as schooling as well. So, I'm trying to find that balance right now.
Yeah. So, Elliot just said, "Don't get me into trouble." So this is one thing that is really important, and I've learned this. And you tell me if I ask something and you can't answer. You'll make sure you tell me.
Okay.
Because I've done some interviews with people already that have done things in movies and commercials and things, and said, "We can't talk about this. Don't ask me about that."
Okay.
And that's one thing that actually is really interesting that people don't realize too. In the Los Angeles area, in our business, we can be involved in a lot of projects, but there are so many things that we can't talk about.
Right. True.
Because we don't want to, there's so many people involved in some of what we do that, you just can't, you got to let things just play out. So if I say anything, I apologize, Elliot, if I've dug in somewhere that I try to keep these pretty lighthearted though.
This is super lighthearted.
Yeah. And you're fun. Well, see, here's the, he was joking. I got to tell you, see, I get a little worried because, as a matter of fact, I had Frank Macchia on, and I can mention Frank, but he's been involved in some songwriting and some things that he wanted to make sure that I recorded it so he could watch back to make sure he didn't get any licensing stuff in trouble.
Oh, I didn't think
because
that.
when we're talking like this, we can just throw out some stuff and all of a sudden, hey, you should have said that.
Right. I think I'm good.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, he just said, okay, nothing's off limits. Okay. Well, that's good. Well, the beauty of this is what people get to see. And normally in the days of rushing around and the way you were before all the coronavirus had, and now you're still busy, but we never would have time to sit and talk where people could just see the kind of person you are. Like if your family or friends of you knows it, they've tuned in or they've seen you performing as an artist, that, well, here's Carmel. This is the authentic Carmel that we all know and love. And that's what comes across in these interviews. And we just talk and we get to find out about you. And believe it or not, the slowness of everything, people actually sit and watch.
I know. That is kind of cool. I was really fighting it in the beginning, and now I'm like, I'm up at night till like 11 with my son. He won't get out of my bed now, but that's right. And we're talking about, deep thoughts and fun thoughts, and you have time to really, and I've been able to pinpoint certain things in school as well that he has trouble with that I can fix, that I wouldn't have time to really, spend all this time working on, and like you said, talking to friends. So that part's really cool.
Right. And here's the other thing that happens with these interviews, and they've mostly been for me, musicians and friends that I know. I've had people call me and say, I listened to them back as a podcast, for example, or a friend of mine called and he said, I'm tired of watching TV. So when I cook, I play one of your interviews back and I just listen while I cook. So I know this is hard to interview for you because you can't see anything. You're just looking into the phone.
Yes.
And that's got to be really sort of difficult.
Yeah, I'm sure I'm looking at the wrong spot.
No, you're fine. I mean, you look great.
Okay.
And I miss Bruce Sundberg. I miss hearing Carmel sing.
Hi, Bruce.
And you've got a really beautiful voice. I just want to say, and excuse me for talking so much.
No, you're great.
You remember when the first video that we shot and you sang that Mariah Carey song?
Oh, yeah. Oh my gosh.
You sang that so beautifully. I wish I still had that video, a copy of that.
I'm kind of glad you don't, but that's very sweet of you.
Well, you sounded so
I
good.
don't know.
You did the Mariah run, and I was thinking, "Oh my God." And you were just a kid.
Oh my gosh. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, no, uh, you were you were killing it. Um,
Thank you.
so so I want to get back to your inspiration for songwriting, and now as you're looking for that, what I'm feeling right now, because you're looking for emotional things in you to grab onto to write about,
Mhm.
right? And then craft them into a song that sort of fits everything and styles that are going out now. Is that what I'm hearing?
Basically.
Is it go- is it
But to
going to
be
be
like an individual artist, I really can't stand super cookie cutter stuff. It does irritate me, but it
right?
works. And I'm trying to figure out what about it works. So there's certain things, for example, let's see, um, like simplicity. That's one thing that I'm trying to learn. So like you can't be too wordy. Like a melody has to be simple, memorable. That's hard to do.
Oh,
But yet clever, and don't be cliche. Um, so just like, and plus the other thing that I've learned is that it takes a lot of doing. You have to kind of write your way through crappy songs and you get better.
hmm.
But of course you don't want it getting over the need to be perfect. That's super hard because you have to push through that. It's not going to be perfect. It's going to suck and you have to push through and then it gets better and better.
And do you have a style when you write the song? Do you have a style in mind? Like
Sometimes yes, sometimes no.
it, do you hear a rhythm or groove, and are you gearing towards country
Sometimes
or
yes, sometimes no. It literally it changes because now from my licensing and my songwriting, I've been focusing on pop um in the last few months. But then because it's the most popular and it's the most, and then they were saying in sync they rarely want country. So then I realized I wasn't listening to any pop songs. I had no idea who any of the current pop stuff. So I started listening to that. Kind of like what I said, then you have, when you focus on one, you start to fall out of the other. It's hard. And then I started listening to country again. Or like I'd be watching a TV show and there'd be a country song and I'd be like, oh yeah, let me, and because I love country, the songwriting is just amazing. So I'm just trying to glean whatever I can um, out of any genre, really, but mostly country and pop, mostly pop. I don't know.
this is
Depends.
and does Elliot help? Does he help kind of pu- rein you in a little bit?
He
Because
tries. Yeah.
I can I can feel your energy, and I can feel like, okay, well, all right, Carmel, just focus on this.
He does actually. No, I'm
Okay.
super that way. I'm very, wow. I like everything. I want to be everything. I want to be killer at everything. It's impossible. There's not enough hours in the day. So, yeah.
Okay, so you need to release one album in every genre.
Yeah, maybe. But that's the cool thing about the licensing is then I'm like, okay, thank God. Then I can do whatever I want. It doesn't matter.
Right. Or
Yeah.
and in movies, in movie placement too, it gives you a little bit more flexibility in writing songs to that I get that where you be placing them.
Right.
You can write rock songs and pop songs and country songs and maybe get them in those different places.
Right. I just wrote a 60s rock song last week with a couple co-writers.
Really?
Yeah, like a blind faith type jam because they asked for
Oh,
that. So we did that. It sounds legit. And then the cool thing is because I know I've been in the business for so long and I know so many musicians and singers, I was like, this is even better because somebody called me yesterday for a singer for a session. And I like connecting people. I like helping people and I like being able to be diverse and being allowed to be that way. So I was like, oh, I have this singer for that and this singer for that. And so I can contract jobs also, which is also really fun.
So right now, do you have a studio at home that where you can go and lay down a track?
I do.
Nice. And have you been doing any live streaming yet?
I want, like, I didn't do my hair or get out of my pajamas for the first month. So that was part of it. I'm like, I don't know. You know, so I'm getting the hang of it. But I haven't had time to practice or to go over stuff because my son interrupts me every 5 minutes. So I know I should, but I've been hesitant, honestly.
Well, everybody's doing it.
Yeah.
And everybody's doing things where they ask for, donations, and they put up their Venmo and PayPal and Zelle and all that stuff. And people are giving tips and all that stuff. And it feels a little uncomfortable.
It does.
Everybody's doing it.
It does.
This even for me has been uncomfortable, but it gives me something to do.
Right.
And so it would maybe give you a chance to get all of your social media stuff together a little bit more. It just helps. Maybe.
You know what? I'm not even a fan of social media. I love people and I love connecting, but I've never liked social media. It's really not my natural instinct. Honestly.
Well, I think that since you have your studio in your home and you can record songs, you can lay down tracks and send WAV files in and do all that. And you can write songs and put them together and send them to people. Yeah. That's going to be how everybody is doing stuff in this industry around town.
Yes, that I can do. And then the other good thing, why I learned guitar, I'm learning piano now as well,
nice.
Which is helpful because you write totally different songs on piano than you do on guitar. So that's been really fun. But also the fact that I learned guitar, then if I need to social distance myself, I can go by myself and do a gig.
Right.
Or whatever. I'm playing like someone's birthday. It's their 21st birthday next Thursday. And nobody can gather. So I'm going to they live in a cul-de-sac. I'm going to go set up in the cul-de-sac outside and sing to her for her birthday. I'm going to do a little show.
Nice. You need a PA system?
What?
You need a sound guy?
I wish. Oh, and I do my own sound. I lug my own equipment. I set it all up. I literally have to do everything. Is how I've been able to maintain a living in this industry. By doing everything.
And that's something that other people don't know. Again, if anybody's tuning in and they're not in this industry, they don't realize sometimes what we have to do in order to make a living.
Right. And then you don't have a job from week to week or from month to month. But somehow, I have my kid in private school and all this stuff from hustling my butt off. That's how.
And the other thing that this sort of shed some light on, this whole gigging industry, it sort of shed some light on it, but only for a moment. And they've completely forgot about the gigging musician. They talk about the gigging industry and then always relate it to restaurants, which I appreciate, but they don't understand that the entire music industry has stopped. And musicians don't just go out and get unemployment because we're
not allowed typically because we don't have a W-2.
Right. So it's not easy for us to recoup this income loss. And so the fact that you have to throw in some speakers in the back of your car and drive and set up in the cul-de-sac and play, that's, people don't get that, you've got to do that in order to put your son through school.
Right.
It's like, oh, she did that? She did what?
Hopefully he'll go back to school, but we'll see.
Right. Well, right now, I believe we're going to have school in the fall.
Okay.
I believe.
Need a job, like a regular gigs in order to put in there. But yeah, that's another story.
Regular gigs. Well, you know that if I get anything, I don't get called for musicians anymore. I've kind of taken myself out of that, which I wish I did now. I wish I had some musicians employed so I could qualify for a PPP, payroll protection.
I applied for that Just for the hell of it.
And
I
no,
didn't hear. I didn't get anything. I didn't get any disaster loan. I didn't get my stimulus. I didn't get anything yet.
me either. I'm sitting here 2 months, nothing.
Ah,
And everybody says, "Oh, it's coming." Oh,
yeah.
sure.
And then my husband was he has a screen printing shop, and he was doing T-shirts, and they were trying to shut him down. They were trying to say everyone has to stay home, and he went to work anyway, which I'm happy about because I'm like, wait, so we're supposed to sit at home with a child, the three of us, for 2 months with zero income? You expect us to do that? I don't think so.
Right.
Like,
So
no.
I understand people being afraid of getting sick, but at the
Right.
same time, most of us can only survive barely with the help of friends for 2
Right.
months, and after 2 months, we're toast.
Right.
You know, so
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 don't
it,
get me started on this subject.
oh, this has been really fun so far.
Oh my gosh.
But well, here's the good news: it's we've been talking 55 minutes,
Wow.
right? And we've covered just about everything. Your songwriting. We've talked a little bit about the people you've sang background for, and the tours you've done. And I remember when you were with Miley and watching all the different places you were at and the pictures and everything, and all the things you've done. We talked about your record New Frontier that you recorded in Nashville, and it sounds great. And we talked about where people could find it. We've talked about the new music you have coming out, and Elliot's helping you with that.
Awesome.
And I'm hoping that I will get to hear it sometime soon. And what you've been focused on, and what I'm really happy to hear, and I want you to know from my perspective, and I had a photographer on up in the Bay Area, Pat Johnson, that started being he's taken pictures of Journey and Freddie Mercury and all those. He has all that. He chose family over career. He had a great career. I've chosen family over career. I've had a pretty good career. And choosing family, what it means is when we get into these moments, it's actually better because we have those loved ones around us, and we've focused on that. And I think I support you in choosing family and finding the balance for it. And if there's ever anything I can do to help you stay there,
thank you.
I will be happy to.
I appreciate it.
And it's great to hear because you talk about your family in a way that it's important to you. And
it is because I think partly because I grew up an only child. My mom worked like 7 days a week, morning and night, and I had nobody. And then like I said, I was super, like, I had no friends. I had like 2 maybe, but like, so I felt really alone when I was little. And of course I grew out of that, but I just remember like family and having connections is really important to me. And my husband is a super awesome person in general. And then my son, I've waited to have a kid. I love kids for so long. So I am actually very grateful to have them. So, and my music career. Yes.
Yeah. And, your husband is a pretty nice guy. I've met him. He's a pretty nice guy. I got to admit it. Otherwise I'd be trying to, I'd be trying to get in there. Hey.
Well, he's a super like loyal, caring person. That's what I like about him the most. He's way nicer than me, for sure.
Well, the two of you were over for a barbecue in my backyard just before you had your baby, so we need to get you back with your kids and when everybody can social a little bit, and we'll all get together and let our kids play in the backyard and
that'd be awesome. Do you have a pool? We'll be there.
I have a fish pond.
We love fish ponds. And if you can barbecue, we'll also be there.
I can barbecue.
Nice.
But we stopped barbecuing meat.
Oh, I don't know if we can come.
Okay, steaks for you. You can have a steak.
But if you have, all right.
Or fish. We barbecue. We eat salmon.
We do love salmon.
Okay. Well,
I've become a good cook. which is like I've made some pretty amazing meals, I have to say, which is not
Okay.
usual.
Well, then you'll have to bring something. All right. It's all everybody's witnessing this.
Okay.
Carmel will bring something really good over to my house to eat when we can all get together again.
Deal.
All right. Well, listen, I'm gonna close out the show. We've been at an hour. Thank you, Elliot, for your support and helping Carmel through all of this. And I'm going to play a little bit more of something off of what of yours.
So play Over Me, because that was the single, one of the singles off of.
Okay, I will play Over Me and let the show close on that.
Thank
Okay.
you, Jeff. I love you. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you, Carmel. Here's
Yes.
your song.
And thank you all for watching.
Baby, I'm not the same. Please believe that I've changed. Lost is how I feel. Lonely in so many ways. I've been counting the days. And the truth is so unreal. I wish that I could close my eyes and make believe. Now that I can hold you only